Hello and welcome back to another X-Wing flight video brought to you by Out of Arc Gaming. As always, my name is Phil. Now this game again was filmed at Entoyment down in Poole, and tonight I am joined by...
I'm Quinn, hello. This is one of my games. You've seen me previously play against Phil, and hopefully this time I do a little bit better.
Well, we will see how that goes, Quinn. So, as is the usual format for one of these videos, what we're going to do, we're going to break down the lists, and then we're going to talk about what we think of those lists and what's happening in the game, and just have a bit of a chit-chat in and around X-Wing as we're going across. So it seems as we've got you on the channel today, Quinn, why don't you break down your list for us?
Happily, Phil. So this is what I call my astrobatics list, like acrobatics, so you might be able to tell what sort of tactic I'm going with. We got Colby Sperado in the X-Wing as my ace, I suppose, because he's my highest initiative pilot. And he's effectively, his ability is that once he's done a boost, he can flip his config card, so you can do a lot of interesting maneuvers and still keep your attack dice. He's got contraband cybernetics, because what else would you fill an illicit slot with? And Predator, because you want to try and get them in your bullseye.
Nice.
Then we got Levan, who is, once you've done a boost, you can do a evade action. So he's got Afterburners and Duke on there, because I'm trying to get that sort of combo going on. Jake, obviously, I mean, why would you not want Jake? Free focus actions all round. And then Cassian, because there's a lot of stress going on in this list, so I want to try and remove as much of it as easily as possible.
Sounds like a good list. It's quite nice to see two different X-Wings there in Colby and Levan. A lot of the time we see Wedge, we see Luke, we even see a bit of Big, so it's good to see a few different pilots. Okay, well, what I'll do, I'll break down Conor's list. We have an interesting one. I believe this is one of the first time he's run Scum, actually. And he has the Venerable Boba Fett with the Slave One title, Contraband Cybernetics, Stealth Device, and Fearless. He also has 4, that's right, you can see them there, you can count them, 4 Binaire Pirates in the Z95, all of them with Dead Man Switch on them. So I think we know what Conor's eventual plan is with those little Z95s. 24 points of fireworks there, times 4 essentially.
I mean, you couldn't really get scummier tactics, could you? I mean, this is a classic Scum list. You've got the Scum man himself, Boba Fett, and then a load of effective flying bombs. It is Scum all over.
Yeah. I mean, the only way it could be more scummy is if he was able to actually launch them out of himself as though he was in a YV666 with the Nashtar pup.
I mean, that would be something I would like to see.
Are you sure you'd like to see that?
If I was flying it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I mean, there are two very interesting lists. With the Scum list, it's, 4 Binaire Pirates with Dead Man Switch is always going to be an interesting one. You know exactly what their end result is going to be, but they can still pack a little bit of a punch, those Z95s. They're not exactly jokes.
No, I mean, they're like a slightly better tie, I suppose, because they've got the shields.
Yeah.
And I like Z95s. They're just a fun ship to fly, nice and cheap, and you can just fit loads of them.
Yeah, I do find that they can be a bit of a staple in a Scum list. If you've got spare points, Z95 is always good to chuck in there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, they're just cheap, aren't they?
Yeah, but I mean, looking at your list, so we've got 2 pilots that we see fairly regularly: Jake Farrell in the RZ1 A-Wing and Cassian Andor in the U-Wing. They're quite common pilots, but Colby and Levan, very different. So talk me through your choice of those 2.
Well, I really wanted to use them because I was going through my pilot cards, as one does when one is bored, and thought, I've never used these 2, and they've got really interesting effects. And I mean, I love the Cavern Angel idea that you can stick Illicit on what is effectively a hero ship. Because Illicit, it just opens up so many options. And the fact that they both have a similar thing, they both rely on boost or barrel rolls. So I was like, there's a theme here. We can run with that. And that's where Jake comes in, because Jake relies on boost and barrel rolls as well. So I was thinking, why not make a whole list based around doing barrel rolls? Hence the name Astrobatics, like acrobatics, so just like play on words. And then Cassian, because Culby can do red boosts and Levan does red evades, I was like, I need to get rid of the stress somehow, otherwise I'm going to be limited to the blue maneuvers, and that's like predictable. So I was like, with Cassian in there, I get a little bit more, and especially with the contraband cybernetics, I can start doing like stress chaining, which is harder to predict.
Absolutely. I mean, Cassian's ability there does really play into what Colby and Levan want to be doing. For those of you that aren't familiar, at the start of the activation phase, you may choose one friendly ship at range 1 to 3. If you do, that ship removes 1 stress token. I mean, that even works with Jake, who is notorious for getting stress. He's going to want to be going fast, getting lots of actions in there. So Cassian is a really good powerful ship, and that range 1 to 3 means that you don't have to necessarily keep them right on top of each other either. You've got a lot of scope there.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing about Cassian is it's a shame it's not 0 to 3, because can you imagine just chaining stops? That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, that would be insane. So, I mean, it's a good list, and I do like the look of it. I mean, one of the things we always can say about the list that you run is that they are definitely not boring. There's always something interesting in the lists you are running.
Oh yeah, I always try and go for like a theme, like this one. This one's theme is barrel rolls, effectively, but I like building lists based on that rather than just good pilots, because I want to stand out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, saying that, we did see another game of yours on the channel, which had the First Order pilots all at Initiative 6, so there was a big theme there as well. It was quite a nice list, that one, actually, having them all at I6. If I remember rightly, that was Vonreg, Quick Draw, and Midnight.
Yep, those 3. I mean, it would have been better if I wasn't against another Initiative 6 ship in Fen, and also not having Fen on the opposition is always a nice thing, but there we go.
Fen is always a bit of a danger piece there.
Yes.
So, we've had the first round of movement. Quite a conservative move up for you. I can see that Connor's spreading out a little bit there. So, what was your initial game plan?
I needed to keep them in formation because I needed them. I forgot that it was 1 to 3 for Cassian effectively, so I wanted to keep them nice and tight so that I could do the combos that I wanted to. But yeah, as you can see from this, like for example, the A-wings bumped because I've tried to be too conservative. So spreading them out would have been more advantageous, but I'm trying to keep them nice and, yeah, effectively as one combat unit.
I mean, it's difficult because obviously you say you want to spread them out, but there's a point where they're too spread out and that you can't actually benefit from Cassian's ability. But also, if you get them that far spread out, their arcs might not be in a position to really focus fire on something. And when you've got four small ships, yes, they don't need a lot of punishment to go down, but it is quite nice to be able to focus fire them and concentrate on those ships and get them off the board.
Absolutely, especially with the boosts and barrel rolls that I want to be doing. I can move those arcs quite a lot without suffering, as it were, because obviously with Culby, the problem with the X-Wing is you flip the config card, you lose an attack dice. But with Culby, obviously you can flip it back again and you don't have that disadvantage. So suddenly the X-Wing becomes a little bit more maneuverable. So by keeping them together, he has to fly towards me, and then I can hopefully split up later. Like that's...
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, that is a good idea. I mean, being able to flip that config card back over is one of the trickier decisions there. You get that extra flexibility in your movement, but it does obviously reduce your attack. I know that the T70 config card combats that as if they've got it in either range 1 or in the bullseye. You don't lose that dice when it's flipped, but the T65 doesn't have that, unfortunately.
No, I mean, that just sounds like another reason to fly Resistance, doesn't it? Like the T70 is a nice ship, but then the T65, obviously it's the classic. Like, you can't beat it.
Yeah, I think there's ups and downs there. I think one of the good things with the T65 is the variety that you can pair it up with at the moment with the Rebels. There's a lot more ships there. Resistance, it's where you've got Ray's Falcon, you've got the Star Fortress, which no one uses. You have the RZ2 A-Wing, which a lot of people tend to prefer over the T70 because it has the ability to have that rear arc. And the Resistance Transport and Kaz's Fireball. So there's not a huge variety there. There's interesting ships, but...
I mean, I think just going back to the Resistance, I think the Star Fortress should see more play because there are some really interesting pilots on it. I just think it looks weird, but if you fly it well, it can do some really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
But I just don't think enough people fly Resistance because you say there's not that variety.
Which I'm hoping that they do get more of. I mean, they have been, at the moment, the concentration does seem to be more towards Republican separatists, which I can understand. There's a lot more scope for increase in their fleets there. As we can see with the LA-80 having been released recently, you've got the ETA 2 and the V-Wing coming out soon. And for the old clankers, you've got the HMP gunship, the droid tri-fighter. Is there another one? I can't remember off the top of my head.
There's Slave One.
Oh yeah, and their version of Slave One.
Which comes with some really interesting Scum cards as well. So even if you don't fly SEP, like I'm planning on picking one up just because I want those cards.
Yeah, I'm also feeling that it would be... I don't have any separatists myself, but it would be quite nice to get those for that additional Scum side on there.
And the V-Wing, I mean, obviously comes with its tie upgrade, which again, could be interesting. Like I fly First Order and Rebels, so I mean, whether or not they're useful is another matter. But the V-Wing is just such a nice ship that I just want it.
Yeah. Well, I really like my Republic, so I'm going to be pre-ordering those very soon. And again, the ability to get those tie upgrades for my Empire is going to be quite nice. It'd be interesting to see what more ship-specific upgrades they look to bring out. There seems to be quite a few for the A-Wing and the T-70s coming in the Resistance pack. So fingers crossed we get some more things like that. Just add a little bit more variety in there so we don't see a lot of similar things coming in.
Yeah, the A-Wing one, I forget what it's called. It's got bird in the title.
Oh, the Starbird Slash.
Yeah, I think that could, if you play it well, that could be really interesting because flying through other ships is something that everyone does, but it's not really weaponized. So I think it could lead to like a new style of, well, a more direct style of flying.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely works better with the RZ2 at the moment in the fact that the RZ2 has the ability to utilize that rear arc, so it can fall forward over the top, spin the arc round, and then get some shots back. The RZ1 would need to be doing some form of K-turn or potential sloop to be doing that. But again, it is a really interesting card, and anything that can add a bit more flavour. And if you've read any of the books, especially the decanonized Legends series, that A-Wing Starbird Slash was quite prevalent in there. That was what A-Wings were known for. So it is really cool that they are looking to those sorts of bits of lore to bring that in.
I mean, not to mention the sequels, but in the books, is it basically a mini Holdo maneuver?
Without doing a hyperspace maneuver, essentially, yes. There's a lot of fleet battles in some of the books where you have a lot of T-65 X-Wings getting right into the fray, and it's not going so well for them. Then suddenly, a squadron of A-Wings come in and just do a slash maneuver straight through the middle, all guns blazing, take out a load of the enemy, and then basically just go, right, K-turn, guys, let's do that again. So you do have to be, if you're an A-Wing pilot, you've got to be brave. But back to the game, we've had our first roll of the dice, and nothing to report, unfortunately. All whiffs there from Conor from Boba Fett.
I mean, you say unfortunately, but 3 blanks is perfectly welcome by me. Like I would take 3 enemy blanks anytime.
Definitely, that's going to be a good result for you there. So now it's your Colby going back into the binary.
Obviously, I want to pop them before they get too close.
True.
With that dead man switch, like,
Yeah.
they could get quite interesting. So I want to get rid of them while they're still that distance away.
Yeah, so that was 3 hits and 3 evades there. So unfortunately, at that point, Connor's dice decided to start playing for him.
I mean, yeah, like 3 natural evades on a 2 evade ship is just, it was infuriating.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's almost as infuriating as when you have something with maybe 5 evades and then it whiffs out.
I've certainly experienced that, yes. That's or I've experienced it with 6 attack dice that have whiffed out.
Yeah. And again, 1 hit, 1 evade there. So these binary pilots, despite being suicide bombers, seem to want to be sticking around.
Well, they don't want their sacrifice to be in vain now, do they? They've got to get into the action. They've got to head for my nice compact unit.
Yeah, they want to get right in there. Obviously, Dead Man's switch is at range 0 to 1, so you really want to be trying to get in there.
I mean, is it 2 points? 1 point, 2 point? It's definitely a
2
slot.
2 points. Yeah, 2 points. So you got 22 points for the binary pirate, and then 2 points for Dead Man's switch. So 24-point ship. And again, it's got a fairly good dial. 2 attacks, 2 evades, 2 hull, 2 shields, so 2s across the board. Essentially similar stats to the A-Wing, if I remember rightly. Not as manoeuvrable, but again, for that price...
Yeah, like the A-Wing, given its extra evade dice and its better dial, as it were, is a lot more expensive.
That's it, you got the extra evade, haven't you?
But I think I'd take 2 headhunters over 2 A-Wings any day, because they just have at that price, they're just like a no-brainer.
Yeah. And there we go. There's a few shields coming. Well, there's 2 shields come off Colby there.
Yep, my red arrow is it's bright red is making it a target.
Yep. I was hoping to see if it could get lost in those gas clouds there, but unfortunately it stood out too much. 1 more hit. And unfortunately, your green dice decided to fail you a bit there.
Well, that's the way it goes sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's half points on Colby already.
I mean, we're like, what? Is this this is the first round of engagement?
First engagement, yes.
And I'm already half points on my as I say, my ace. It's my...
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, not the greatest start, but, you know...
No, not a good start, but then again, it can all come back round. So 1 hit there, and you got an evade in there, so Jake's okay.
I mean, this list is really demonstrating shots on point, because they may be cheap, but there's 4 of them attacking. So if he can focus fire, he can really hurt me.
Yeah, and sometimes weight of fire can be a very good thing there. It's one of the reasons that swarm lists can do really well, because you get one that just strips out those tokens, well, 1 or 2 to attack, stripping out the tokens, then the other ones get unmodified shots into you. I mean, the difficulty is obviously sometimes flying swarms can be quite challenging and or quite boring sometimes. I've tried swarm lists and it's not for me.
I mean, I've got a few swarm lists, but obviously I try to vary them up a bit. So something like a droid swarm can be quite boring, as you say, because they're all the same. So if I fly a swarm list, I'll try and have different ships just to make, as you say, that bit more interesting. Because otherwise, it is just a case of, it gets dull.
Yeah. So it's not the easiest thing to fly. Again, I've tried it, and I've seen people fly swarms really well, and they can be really dangerous. Like even a classic TIE swarm, when flown right, can be really good.
Oh yeah, I've had my defeats handed to me quite easily by TIE swarms. It's just, as long as you can avoid the bumping, they are deadly.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm quite partial to my ace pilots, especially when it comes to Empire. I like my aces.
I mean, yeah, aces are obviously more interesting than generics, which is why I try and find somewhere between the two, like the named pilots you see less of, because people aren't as familiar with them, so sometimes they'll forget something they can do. Like, you've got that extra kind of like tactical advantage.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially with the 265, there's quite a few pilots in there. Not as many as there were in first edition, but there's still a fair amount of pilots in there. And most people expect to see Wedge, Luke, or even your basic generic pilots. They don't expect to see some of the ones from the Old Swords Renegades pack. So seeing Colby and Levan on the table, I mean, I'm really happy to see them on the table. It's nice to get some new pilots being shown on this channel.
Yeah, I mean, I just like the idea of the Cavern Angels, as I've said, because they are a little bit more interesting. Because obviously the whole idea of Swords Renegades as a whole is kind of different for Star Wars, because the Rebels have always been shown as like very clean cut. So the idea that there are these extremists, as it were, rebels, is kind of nice to see that it's not just the Empire that's bad.
Yeah, and I do like that they actually kept that in the comics as well, not the comics, the cartoons as well. So you saw featured in the Clone Wars and in the Rebels. And even then, you could see that they were a bit more rough and ready than your standard Rebels, a bit more guerrilla tactics.
Yeah, he even makes an appearance in the new Jedi Fallen Order game. He makes a cameo in that. And again,
yes, he does.
Very much the sort of, well, we got to play dirty if we want to win.
Yeah.
Which is...
That was the Kashyyyk mission, was it not?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. It was good game as well.
I've yet to play it, but I'm familiar with it. And the ship, whatever, I forget what the ship's called, but the ship is very nice.
It is very nice, but I almost hope that they don't try and bring it into X-Wing, because I don't know how well it would fit into the game, and also the way the mechanics of the ship work would be, they wouldn't be able, it would be very difficult to them actually to get it work how, say, your 265, 270 wings closed, the U-wing with its wings, it just wouldn't sit right on the board.
No, the sticky out bit is quite large, so I feel like you'd be wiping out all the other models.
Yeah, and plus there are plenty of other ships that I would love to see coming into the game.
Colby's just...
Well, Colby's been moved out of the way because Levan flies first, so just to be able to actually get the template down so you can get it round, you've moved Colby. So
I did wonder what would happen to him, but...
Looks like, unfortunately, though, Levan won't be able to fully execute his manoeuvre.
No, I mean, we've already seen my A-wing bump, so what's another bump, eh?
Hey, if anyone asked, it was a tactical bump. I mean, in all fairness, that Z95 wasn't there when you put the dial down.
That's a problem I kind of have, is I always plan my manoeuvres around where the ships are at the moment.
Yeah.
And then I forget that, for example, the Biniers with their Initiative 1 move first, and they can do those tactical bumps.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of the things that makes it an interesting game, that although things have a set of manoeuvres that they can actually do, you still don't know what manoeuvres they're going to do. I mean, especially with Boba Fett as well, having Slave 1 on there, you might be looking at it going, right, I reckon he's going to go that way and do, say, a 2-bank or something. He puts the 2-bank down and goes, yeah, I've decided to go the other way.
Especially with that rear arc as well, because obviously a lot of ships, once you're facing the wrong way, you're facing the wrong way. But having is it a 3 rear arc on the fire spray?
Yeah, it's 3 out the front and 3 out the back.
That's like some serious firepower, because, it's like the most... Yeah, it's the strongest rear arc I've seen.
I believe it is. Most other ships with a rear arc are normally only 2, unless they've got some form of ability that allows them to really play on that.
We've also got the mobile arcs, I guess, like the Falcon and the YT-2400. They've obviously can have a rear arc with...
Yeah, I mean... I mean, they're slightly different. So yes, they do have those dual arcs, like the bow tie as they call them, where they can have with the YT 1300 3 out of left, right, front, or back, and then with the YT 24, as long as it's not in that sensor blind spot, can get that 4 dice shot. So, but again, I do like the fire spray. It's just there's something about the fire spray. It might just be that it's Boba Fett's ship. It might be that it was in Empire Strikes Back, but it is just a cool looking ship. Having it on that medium-sized base is right. I remember when I used to have it on the large base in first edition. It just looked wrong on it, kind of like the U-wing looked wrong on a large base. So sticking it on that medium base makes it a bit more maneuverable, and it's just a fun and cool ship.
Yeah, I mean the medium base as an introduced mechanic is certainly nice, because the medium base, as you say, gives that extra mobility to those former large base ships.
Yeah. And then you even think there were some of the small base ships from first edition that went up to the medium base ship. So you had your K-Wing, your Skirg, your Ark, all moving up to the medium base. They feel better on that medium
they looked
base.
top heavy on a small base, because they were obviously bigger than the base, so they didn't quite fit right.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when I first got the Skirg out of the pack and looked at it and went, that's the size of 2 small bases. It's massive.
And unlike the silencer, it was the right size, whereas the silencer was just badly scaled and just looks great on a field with its way too big.
I love the first edition silencer. I mean, I have 2 of them, and I think they look great. I mean, the second edition one, yeah, it's more to scale, but hey, you want it to be big and rude and offensive and in your face. So we've got some more attacks coming in. So that's 1 shield on the blue binary.
Finally getting to do some damage back.
Yeah, from Colby.
But as you can see, his headhunters are now really getting in amongst my ship.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, you've got all of your attacks pointing at the blue and green headhunter right in front of you. And the downside is that the blue has all of your ships within range 1. And I think the green is just out of range 1 on Cassian. But still.
Yes, it's really playing into the dead man switch style of gameplay.
It's not quite the position you'd want to be in with them. In a normal game without dead man switch, you'd probably love that. Focus fire them down.
Yes, it's kind of like I want to do 3 damage. I don't want to kill them. I just want to damage them enough that they're easy pickings.
You have actually just done 3 damage onto blue. Conor has elected not to use his focus to allow that one to go down.
And it's as we say, isn't it? He's got everyone at range 1, including, I mean, he hits the green one, but what's 1 shield to a headhunter?
So that's 1 shield off the binary, but more importantly, that's 1 damage off Colby, Levan, Jake, and Cassian there. So for 2 points, he has just got 4 damage across the board on there. He's put Colby in a very difficult position, now being on 2.
I mean, the worst thing is, like, I've killed one of his ships, and I've still got less points than him.
Yeah, he's still ahead on points.
So yeah, just not my smartest move. I was hoping that he'd roll some natural evade so I could get that damage in there without damaging myself.
Yeah, this is one of those points where you actually, as the player with the binary pilots, you're there like, you know what? If I lose them, it's okay. I mean, Conor's there weighing it up, going, right, if I spend that focus, he survives, and then I get 1 shot and potentially get some damage. Or I can guarantee 4 damage.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than you could get out of the headhunter anyway.
Yeah.
So...
Oh
dear. Oh no, my red arrow is now more of a dead arrow, but yes,
Yeah,
Colby is gone.
that is unfortunate. An early loss there of Colby, giving Conor quite a sizable lead there. I mean, you have managed to get half points on another binary pilot, so you were at one point just slightly in the lead. But unfortunately,
It's not my greatest tactics of shooting the thing that will hurt me more. But there we go. I wanted less ships on the board.
yeah. And to be honest, in the long run, you didn't exactly want to say, no, I'm not going to shoot. Because that's not how you play X-Wing. You don't play X-Wing not to shoot. You play X-Wing to go in, shoot the other ships, come what may, and hope that you get out the other side okay.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, all of my ships were facing that headhunter, so it was either waste my turn or hope that I could survive those single damage cards. But sadly, I couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've only ever seen it once in a game I've played where someone has elected not to shoot, and it was all the way back in first edition, and I can't even remember the reason why he didn't want to shoot. Oh, that's it. It was back with the original Lambda, and I had the Rebel Captive card, which meant that the first person each round that shot me would gain a stress token, and he didn't want to stress his ships that much that he had 3 ships who only had the Lambda in its arc, all elected not to shoot so that it did not get stress.
I mean, that's an interesting decision. I mean,
Yeah.
what was his A game with that? Because a stress token is not the most damaging token in the game.
I don't know, but I can tell you one thing. I did not show that level of restraint myself, and I took my shots where I had them.
I mean, it's, as someone once told me, it's an offensive game. The dice are weighed in offensive favour, so not attacking, just not in the nature of the game.
Reminds me of that Rebel Captive card. I'd love them to bring something like that back in. It was just quite an interesting card.
I mean, is it similar to, whatever her name is in the Decimator? She has that thing that if you destroy a ship, you get 2 stress tokens.
Oh, Admiral Sloane.
That's it. So it's
like
a better version of that, I guess.
It was an interesting. It wasn't. I don't think it was anywhere near as powerful as Sloane, because Sloane has the extra caveat there as well. If the enemy is if the defender is stressed, ships within 0 to 2 can re-roll an attack dice. But just that ability to dole out that stress by just being shot was quite nice.
It certainly ruined someone's game plan.
Well, it ruined that guy's game plan considerably. But coming back to the game plan here, what are your thoughts now? You've lost Colby. You've seen the power of those binary pilots when they pop. So what are you thinking at this point?
I'll be honest, tactics aren't really my strong point. So my focus is just shoot ships. Like, Colby was my ace. He was going to be the one that could maneuver around and do the interesting things. Like, I've still got Levan with Duke, so still quite a powerful setup because he is my most expensive ship. It's quite a powerful setup with him. But my problem is I need them close. Like, Jake's got to be close to Levan to give out the focuses, but they're now facing opposite ways. So I now have to start making literal stressful choices to work out who's shooting who and where. And again, I don't think where ships are going to be. So that sort of spatial awareness probably will not play out in my favour.
Well, at the moment, we're just marking up green there. Now, I can imagine you're doing a Talon roll.
I mean, that would be the logical thing to do.
Only slight problem with the Talon roll.
As I thought it was an S-loop, so I'm facing it the wrong way.
No S-loop on that dial, unfortunately, which would have been brilliant. An S-loop there, other than the fact that it's got dead man switch, would have been really nice for you.
Yeah, but now I've just made my situation even worse because now I'm facing the wrong direction again. So next turn, I've now got to try and steer without bumping, or I've also got obstacles around and stressed, and yeah, it's just not my greatest maneuver.
Obstacles. Who worries about those?
No one until you land on one. And you're like, oh, oops.
True. I mean, it's quite fortunate. You've got 4 gas clouds out there, and they are the most forgiving of obstacles on the board.
Yes, I mean, I always bring a gas cloud along for exactly that reason, because they're just, they're relatively unobtrusive.
Yeah. And was that Cassie doing a stop there? Yeah.
Yes.
So Cassie doing a stop, Jake doing a K-turn, which is the most obvious move there for Jake to be doing. I mean, it's almost a shame that Jake couldn't give his sloop to the T65, because that would have been perfect for him, but...
Oh well, it's I get my talon rolls and my sloops confused quite a lot, to be honest. I used to, it's something but it has how you do use a talon roll with that slave 1 coming in nicely behind my U-wing.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, that's a perfect talon roll.
Absolutely. I mean, he's closed on range 1, so...
just outside range 1 there, so...
I mean, obviously he doesn't get any mods, but at the same time, he's range 1 into a relatively easy-to-hit ship, so...
Yeah.
Not range 1, nearly range 1.
And that's 1 more shield off of Cassian there.
Gonna wear me down at this rate, but you know, I can. Well, I can't shoot Bobber because Bobber is sat behind me. But
I mean, at the moment, Bobber's not. He hasn't actually had his attacks haven't been that powerful overall. So.
But he's also not been attacked, so he's 102 points of untouched bounty at the moment.
Yeah.
But positioning himself like that, where I physically cannot shoot him, like, it's going to be hard to try and get those points.
Yeah. So that was 1 crit, 1 evade there from Jake on the green. So range 1 there from Cassian. One evade, so he's definitely survived there. So 2 hits and a crit.
I mean, so get some damage through.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of hoping not for a direct hit. Oh, wounded pilot.
I mean, it's the first time I've wished for not a direct hit.
Yeah, I mean, wounded pilot. It's a reasonable card. I mean, you would have probably preferred weapons failure.
Or structural damage.
Or structural damage, yeah.
No.
Structural damage would have been quite good. I think weapons failure would have been the best one, with that yellow having a nice range 1 shot on Cassian in a moment. But you've got red is going into Levan. Nothing. So here we go. 3 dice. So that's 2 crits. And this is where you get the structural damage.
It's always on my low evasion ships, like, and the fact that you can't repair it is just. I think it's a worse crit than direct hit because it just lasts for like the entire game.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Direct hit it's basically like a quick sucker punch, whereas structural damage is more crippling. Especially
on my most hit pointy ship.
Yeah, well. You got the most hit points there. Well, you had the most hit points there, and now you've only got 1 evade on there. So,
yeah,
it's just a good job. It's just a good job none of these Bionaire pilots or Bobber has outmaneuver, because then that would just be free damage onto Cassian.
Yes, I mean, yeah. I haven't seen someone play outmaneuver for a long time, actually. There was a time when everyone was flying outmaneuver wedge, and I just haven't seen it recently.
I'm trying to think. I haven't seen outmaneuver in a while, actually. I think it's quite an expensive upgrade, and people tend to look to avoid it. And some of the ships that you look at and think, you know what, they would like outmaneuver. They've got better things. Fen Rao, he's very maneuverable. Outmaneuver could be quite good on him, but when are you not going to put Fearless on Fen?
I agree, because you want that you always want him at that range 1.
Yeah, and you look at Soon TFL, again, outmaneuver could be quite good on him, but you're more likely to want to put Predator or Marksmanship on him because you want him to be really trying to utilise that bullseye arc anyway. So I think outmaneuver's got its place, but it's not as often used.
I mean, obviously there's outmaneuver Wedge, but since Snapshot has come out with one of the Republic ships, I've just stuck Snapshot on him because you've got that free attack that you can still make them lose a defense die on.
And plus, outmaneuver Wedge is just horrible, and most people will boo you off the board at Entoyment if they see you playing it.
Yes, Wedge certainly doesn't have many fans at Entoyment, considering the amount of Rebel players that there are.
Yeah.
So going back to Star Wars video games, Squadrons, are we excited or?
I am quite excited for that. So it does look really cool. I'm not sure if I'll get it at release, but I mean, there's the potential that you could essentially be playing X-Wing with your controller. So for me, that's cool. It's almost like a new version of Rogue Squadron, which I still hold as a brilliant game.
Which one? Because there are 3 of them, aren't there?
I've played all 3, but I only ever really played the first one. So the first one's the one that I remember the most, and I've got the emulator for it on my laptop. So, but it looks like we've got some more manoeuvring here. So Levan is trying to get back into the fight. Was he able to get his stress relieved there from Cassian? I believe he was.
It certainly looks like it, yes. I mean, again, where he wasn't facing the right way, I kind of had to spend it on him.
Yeah.
Because Jake is more manoeuvrable, so I didn't have to worry about taking his stress away because there's the chance he'd have a better blue manoeuvre. But I really needed to make sure that I could do interesting stuff with the X-Wing in order to utilise him effectively.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jake's got a really nice dial to get rid of blue manoeuvres. All of the 2s for him are blue and all of the straights are blue. So the A-Wing is good for getting rid of stress. So you don't have to really worry there.
Yeah, finally getting a chance to use my red evade on Levan, which is kind of like his whole deal. So,
and then obviously you've got Duke on there, which Duke is a good upgrade. It's a shame it's so expensive now, but I think with how popular Quad Phantoms were, they kind of had to do something.
I mean, I love it as an upgrade, especially on like a dual ability ship.
Yeah.
So, like the classic, of course, being the Defender, getting your 3 evade and then your 3 attack dice is just very powerful.
It is very powerful. I mean, Defenders is something we don't see often enough, but that's because they are so expensive. And if you are putting Duke on, again, that really ramps up the price. But
I'd say they're one of the expensive ships that are definitely worth it, because having that white K, or the ability to make any straighter K, or that all of the things
Countess Ryad,
all the things they can do make them worth it. They're not like a ship that's expensive because it's bulky. They're a ship that's expensive because fly it well and it's damn near impossible to kill.
Oh yeah, it's a really, if you fly it well, it is a really rewarding ship. So with a great dial, a lot of utility in there. I mean, one of the downsides, obviously, the 1 and 2 hearts on it are red, but you have a white 4K turn native, you have a 2K turn, which is brilliant. All of the straights are blue, and you've got that 3 hard, and again, the full throttle ability on there is brilliant. I mean, there's a part of me that would like it if you could do triple defenders, but I understand also the reason why. Anytime FFG do a video and they're talking about points upgrades, the first thing they say is, no, we're not bringing the defenders down.
I mean, I can't beat 2 defenders, so 3 defenders would be horrendous.
I've never actually flown 2 defenders because although they are good ships, it feels almost wrong putting that much that much of your points into two small base ships. I always feel like if I put it into two large base ships, great. But two small base ships, you feel like you don't want to be putting 160, 170 points into two small base ships.
Obviously, the advantage they have over a large base ship is they're so hard to hit. Like, the only time I've beaten dual defenders is with a swarm, where I've done tactical bumping, because obviously,
Yeah,
as soon as you bump them, they become a sitting duck, because they can't use their
Yeah.
full throttle, they can't use their duke, they just become a tie at that point.
and as we know, green dice will betray you.
Yes, they have a habit of doing that.
Yeah. So, got Jake taking a shot now. So doing a range 3 on green, which is probably the best one for you because it's out of... Which is unfortunate there. It would have been a really nice time for you to pop green because I think the only thing that it would have possibly had in range 1 would have been red.
Yes, it would have been nice to not have been bitten this time by Dead Man Switch, but even with Predator, my dice were not on my side.
Right, so going into Bobber here with Levan.
Oh, and that's not what you want from 4 dice.
No, especially when you had your evade on there, which could have juked it and hopefully got rid of that stuff twice. That is disappointing.
What can you do? It's a game of dice, really, isn't it? So,
one thing we missed there earlier is obviously Levan did get the stunned pilot crit there from being attacked by Bobber. Bobber really utilising Fearless.
So yeah, got to avoid those obstacles now.
Yeah. And looks like there was 2 more damage into Cassian there.
He's not doing too well at the moment. He's on his last legs.
Yeah, so that would have been from red. So, and yellow is now going to do a range 1 shot. He's got the power to take Cassian off the board now, so we'll see. 2 crits. So
I've only got the 1 dice because of my structural damage, and bang.
Bang, yes. Bang, bang. Cassian is off the board.
Yes.
And just for posterity as well, your first crit was a direct hit as well.
Oh, that reminds me of the time that I got those, was it 4 crits into 7 hits or 2 crits into 7 hits? Was that with you I was playing?
Oh, that was the game we played after this, yeah, where 4 hits turned into 7 crits.
That was not the most. I mean, I was dead from the 4 hits, but turning them into 7 crits is perhaps the most hilarious thing I've ever seen happen on this game.
I mean, it's an absolute shame that wasn't actually on camera because that just doesn't happen very often. But that was, I felt great that I took your ship off the board so thoroughly, but I also at the same time was just like, that's kind of rude. Like it was too good.
I mean, yeah, the fact that you got that 1 crit, that hull breach in beforehand, that could turn hits into crits, and then that you got 2 direct hits in those converted hits was the draw of a lifetime, as it were. If it had been on a big ship, that would have been a great way to take down something like the Falcon.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like getting that on the Falcon or any of the large base ships would have just completely annihilated them. And I think you would definitely put that down as one of the plays. Like if you were to go back and review all the games you had in a year, you'd probably think that would be one of the plays of the year.
I mean, yes, it was incredible. Like, it's a shame it was kind of wasted on a damaged X-Wing, really.
Yeah. But that was quite good. So it's quite a tricky situation now for you. You've got 3 headhunters and Bobber. You've got 2 headhunters who are very much ready to click that detonate button. I mean, yellow that's now right in front of Jake has 1 health. He's looking to pop himself, and green as well has only got 2 hull left, so he's not far away from going.
Yeah, and without Cassian, I now can't easily remove that stress on Levan, so my manoeuvres become much more limited.
Yeah, it's leaving you down to bank manoeuvres and straight manoeuvres to get rid of stress.
Because obviously the ideal thing here would be to K-turn in an attempt to try and outmaneuver Bobber.
Yeah.
I can't do that because I'm stressed.
And what also makes it difficult is that you have stun pilot on there, so you really want to be avoiding those obstacles as well. And you got a bit of a traffic jam up ahead of Jake there, so making Jake's
Connor's
decision.
going for the tactical bump there because he's going for the tactical bump because he knows that I want those extra actions. Because obviously with Jake you can barrel roll, focus, and boost all in one go.
Yeah.
So that gives me a great ability to arc dodge or try and put myself at a distance away from those dead men switches. But if he bumps me, I'm just a sitting duck.
I mean, Jake's ability is absolutely insane. I think I mentioned it on the channel the other day. If you look in the FFG rulebook, in the FAQ section, what you can do with Jake and another ship, and the action economy in there, it's mind-blowing. I think between Jake and a Phoenix Squadron A-Wing, you can get 6 maneuvers off of 6 actions off of one action, essentially, by just chaining them.
That would be brilliant.
Yeah. And I mean, I've had to reread it a couple of times, so I'm just there like in disbelief, like what, you could actually do that?
It feels illegal, doesn't it? Like,
yeah,
the amount of actions you can chain.
But I mean, Jake, I do like Jake. He is a really good ship. I think it's almost a shame that you do have to be careful with him. Like, he's one wrong move and he's very brittle. He goes down quite quickly, which is a shame.
That 4 hit points will certainly make itself known quite often.
Yeah, and just the 2 dice gun as well. It almost feels like a disservice, but again, that's what A-Wings are known for having, unfortunately.
Yes, but again, the A-Wing you make up with that maneuverability, don't you? Like, it's got such a dense style.
Yeah, it's got. I think it's the best style in the game. I think the only things it's really lacking there, well, the only things it's lacking in basic maneuvers is the 1 forward and 1 bank. And if it had that, it would be stupid. It would be too good.
Yes, I mean it's maneuverable enough as it is.
Yeah.
Like, if you with that boost and that barrel roll, and obviously with Jake, you want to be barrel rolling and boosting. So like, it's as I'm demonstrating here.
Yeah. See, you've got the bang. Well, you've got the barrel roll, then you've got the focus, and now you've got vector thrusters allowing you to do the red boost.
I'm not sure that was the wisest maneuver, as I've put myself nicely in the range of Dead Man Switch there.
Yeah.
But I wanted those attack dice.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting position. If you'd have gone the other way, you'd have been sacrificing not taking a shot, which would have left that gun still available to shoot there. I mean, I think you might have possibly... It's a tough one, but you might have possibly popped yourself an arc of yellow there. Obviously, you're going to get a shot from Bobber at range 3. And he's taken the focus there, so he's really wanted to choose violence on you there.
Yeah, it's a list like this with the suicide binaires that make me really appreciate R5TK, which is the Scum astromech that lets you shoot your own ships. Because say it was earlier in the game where they had that binaire with the 1 health that could do 4 damage. If I'd elected not to shoot and he'd had R5TK on something hanging around, he could have still done those 4 damage to me, and I wouldn't have rolled any evade dice to prevent it. So for a free upgrade, which it is, like, there are certainly lists that can put it to use, but I've never seen anyone use it.
Oh, so that is the binaire pilot down. He took an honorary crit there, which was panicked pilot, I believe. But not that it really matters. He's down, and that's another hit point off Jake, taking him down to 1. So that's going to hurt.
Yep, I mean Jake could not be closer to death now, could he? He's facing the wrong way. He's stressed. Bobber's coming for him. Like, he's really not in a good position.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. You were saying about different ways of utilizing Dead Man's Switch. It's a shame you can't get Ruthless on there.
Is that the Empire one that lets you damage your friendly ship?
Yeah. Now that would be brutal. So Ruthless, while you perform an attack, you may choose another friendly ship at range 0 to one of the defender. If you do, that ship suffers 1 damage, and you may change one of your die results to a damage. Now,
I mean, there's got to be at least one Empire ship with an illicit slot, right?
I don't believe there is. Off the top of my head.
Fair enough. I mean, the First Order's only just gained its first illicit ship, and they went all out with 3 slots.
Yeah, which was crazy.
You can share around as well, no less. Like, I'm really looking forward to using that.
So it would be quite an interesting combo, but I'm just having a quick look, and I don't believe that any Empire ship can actually take illicits.
Wow, I suppose that's not that surprising, because why would they be smuggling from their own taxes?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, illicits, you can get them on the Scum, you can only now get them on First Order.
And only one pilot.
Yeah, the Resistance, I believe.
And obviously Rebellion.
Rebellion can, only in certain ships. I don't believe you can get them on Separatists. But I don't fly Seppies, so I'm not sure, and I can almost guarantee you can't get them on Republic.
Again, because they're the government. Why would they need to smuggle?
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Illicit, I think, as an upgrade group, it can have such a wide variety of things it can do that if you have a ship with an illicit slot, you should never leave it empty, because there's always something cheap and useful you can put on it. Like Contraband Cybernetics is my go-to for 2 points, having the ability to do an action and red maneuver while stressed.
Yeah.
Like, it's a one-shot, but it can make or break a round.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you've got your ship in a position where it's stressed and slightly out of position, and your opponent's there looking at it going, brilliant. He can't get back to me, and you just go, you know what? I'm going to Contraband Cybernetics and do a 5k with a Sarge or a 3 Talon with Slave 1 and do an action because, well, you didn't expect me to do it. It is really powerful.
No, I've had a few with Cavill and the Y-Wing where I've flipped the Contraband Cybernetics, chained some K-turns, and then you don't expect maneuverability from a Y-Wing.
Yeah.
So it really gives you that edge.
I mean, thinking about the other illicits you've got in there, inertial dampeners is a pretty good one as well.
Because that's so pricey in terms of what you've got to do. Having a red stop is nice, but paying a shield for it, it can come back to bite you. But then going back to First Order, giving that to Quick Draw gives you a stop and a free attack. So there are times when it can come in quite handy.
So Jake's just landed on the gas cloud there, which is not good. So no actions. Fortunately not strained. But he does have 2 Binaire pilots and a Boba Fett looking right at him now. And it all depends. What I
wanted to do here was to chain barrel and boost, because that would try and get me out of at least 1 arc. But instead I just landed on the cloud and basically I'm definitely dead now.
If you'd have chained... Yeah, barrel roll forward and then boost round. I reckon you could have got out of that arc. Now here's where
that boost from Bubba bringing him into range 1, 4v3, it's not my favourite odds.
I mean, the interesting thing there is, does Bobber takes shots at Levan, thinking, yeah, Jake is going to go down. And which way does he go?
It looks like he's gone out the back with 3 dice.
No, he rolled that 4, so he was
All right there.
he was looking to kill Jake, which
Certainly easier than trying to kill Levan.
yeah. 3 of 8. Nope.
And
Hit crit on Jake there, so Jake is very dead.
I mean,
And Panic Pilot, he's panicking because his ship is disintegrating all around him.
so he will soon be at peace.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I mean, rightly or wrongly, when we were looking at it earlier, it was a very uphill battle from the moment that Colby went down. And we saw that Conor was absolutely willing to sacrifice his ships to take you out.
I mean, I clearly just didn't take into account Dead Man's Switch because it's only 1 damage, so I was very blasé about it.
Yeah.
But it was 1 damage to 4 ships that were then
Yeah.
shot. Like it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's the cumulative effect, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like the bomb you don't expect. It's the bomb that just gets you without, you just don't see it.
Yeah,
So,
I can see what you mean because, yeah.
I mean, at least with the bombs, you're there going, right, I know when they're likely to drop them. I know what they're going to do. You can sort of think about those. But Dead Man's Switch, you never know when it's going to come out. I mean, the blue binary pilot that went down right at the beginning of the game, Conor could have gone, yeah, I'll focus and keep him alive. But he decided, you know what, actually, I'm going the path of violence. I am going to see what I want damage on you now. So he was willing to sacrifice 24 points to take 1 point of damage off every single ship on your list.
So that was a fair trade because that set him up for the rest of the game because I was now on the back foot.
Yeah. And hard 3 over the gas clouds, so no action.
Oh, I did. Yeah, that's
Oh,
stunned pilot coming into effect. Is that the one with stunned pilot?
yeah. Stun pilot, so you've also taken a damage there.
So yes,
So not
so much
not
for the
good.
innocuous gas clouds.
Yeah. And that's got to be one of the worst gas clouds I've ever seen. Not only does it mean you cannot, that you're stressed, you're now strained, you've taken a damage, and you have a binary pilot, 1 binary pilot, possibly 2 binary pilots with shots on you.
And whatever Bobbin's about to do.
If Bobber clears this, that is a very bad day for Levan.
I mean, I was going for the aggressive, like I might as well go down all guns blazing, but flying over an obstacle with stunned pilot was not the way to go about that.
Oh, you are lucky Bobber does not fit. So Conor there just pulling that binary pilot back so they can get Bobber in position to see, because it was such a tight one.
Yeah,
But,
so that's maybe that's a small mercy, but at the same time, they've still got to worry about only having 2 hull left.
Yeah. I mean, now would be a perfect time if you can pop that yellow one, do some damage on Bobber, get rid of his stealth device, probably hit red as well at range 1. But that is based on you.
Well, we're going for it. We want to take out that yellow because, as you say, if I can take out stealth device, then the slave one suddenly becomes a lot more vulnerable. So that's the downside of Dead Man's Switch. Is it's very non-selective.
Yeah.
Only 1 damage.
Hit crit.
Oh, it's probably my best roll of the game.
Oh, natural evades. That has got to hurt. I mean, talk about kicking a man when he is down.
I mean,
Oh,
yeah, it would have been nice. I mean, it wouldn't have done much against the slave one, but it would have certainly have checked it, and it would have stopped the yellow having shots on me. But
yeah. It would have
dice
definitely
come
been
through sometimes.
favourable. Yeah. I mean, we all know
Yeah.
that Conor has got some. His dice rolls are normally quite strong, to be honest. And yes, we have checked those dice; they are legit. He just does quite well.
I mean, he's had a fair few blankouts, just never when it's been that important.
Never
Like
at the
his
right
dice are
point for
very
you.
convenient.
Yeah. So there's one more damage on Levan there. Oh, so that's 2 hits. Oh, and 2 evades just sneak through. So Levan is still there.
I mean, so it's 1 hit point versus 15. I think I have a fair chance, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. You can win this right now. I mean I mean, your win condition there is take Boba Fett out. In fact, no, sorry, take Boba Fett out, and that would put it up to 162, and get the last health off that yellow binder, and that would put it up to 174. So with that, you would win. But getting there is...
It's not impossible.
I mean...
It's very unlikely.
I can't say that I've seen stranger things than that happen. I'm not going to lie. I mean...
I'm trying to keep a positive attitude here, Phil. I'm dying here.
I mean, maybe Conor feels really nice and just flies Bobber off the board for you to make it really fair and even towards the end.
I mean, but yes, that would be very nice, but that would be a very hollow victory.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to do it.
I mean, Levan's just showing the perils of attaching too many upgrades and forgetting what they do, because I haven't spent a single charge on his cybernetics or his afterburners. So
yeah, I mean, contraband cybernetics hasn't come into play. I mean, it could have been quite... I mean, that could have been something you could have used earlier in K-turn there, when you had Bobber in front of you with the contraband cybernetics. Could have been quite nice. Could have used it on Colby. Oh no, Colby was down before that point. But there were 2 points where contraband cybernetics could have been quite handy, either when you did that talon roll early in the game, or when you were stressed and having to do the blue maneuvers. You could have potentially done a K-turn, or even just pull contraband cybernetics, done any other maneuver, and done the action.
Yes, I certainly missed my opportunity, and obviously with afterburners, I forgot that it was speed 3 to 5. So there were plenty of times where I did a speed 2 maneuver. I was like, this could be great. I'm going to get my red evade and my juke, and obviously I couldn't use it because it was not a speed 3 to 5 maneuver. So remember your upgrade cards.
And that's the thing. It can be quite difficult, especially if it's lists you don't fly very often. It's easy to forget exactly what everything does, and we all do it.
Yeah, I play a new list every time, so I can never remember what they do.
Yeah, but this is obviously a casual Wednesday night game, so it's not like this is you're not playing for MOV or for tournament position. You are playing just to have fun, get some shits flying around the board and see what you can do. So you can't really complain about that. I mean, if you were doing a tournament, you probably would have practiced the list a bit more, be a lot more conversant with everything that your cards do, so you know exactly what you're looking to do. But
yes, I mean, do I bring up our last tournament? I practiced that list for a while before our game in the tournament.
Yeah, and in fact, we actually did play that the week before the tournament, and it went quite well in my favour. And then day of the tournament,
Blame the dice.
Everything went well for you that day. That list, you knew that list inside out. You knew exactly what you wanted to do with it, and it worked really well.
Yeah, I just wish I could copy. As I need to practice more, but I just you have so many ships and so many pilots, especially these ones you don't see very often. I just feel I
Yeah.
have to fly new stuff all the time because you have all these options.
Yeah. I mean, you do want to just, if you've got cool things, you want to use them. And I think that's the next couple of months is going to be quite interesting with new ships coming out. I think there's going to be a lot of new lists flying. I mean, I can very much imagine that we're going to see a lot of LA-80s, HMPs, and G-class shuttles flying around over the next few weeks. Now that they've just come out.
Oh yes, certainly. I mean, everyone loves an LAAT,
Mm. I mean, it's a cool looking ship as well.
and it's very useful. Like it's got some nice abilities going on.
Quite expensive though. I mean, I thought it was going to be pricey, but it was a bit pricier than I expected. Oh,
Oh, I've hit Fett.
you've hit
Bobber.
Fett. You've taken 2 shields off him. 2
Okay.
shields off Fett, and you've got rid of his stealth device. Although for some reason the overlay is still only showing 1 shield coming off there, unfortunately, but it's 2 shields. So that's good. Fett did not come out of this unscathed.
Yes, I mean, by this point in the game, that's all I wanted. So I wanted
Yeah.
to make sure that Fett didn't fly away as crisp and new as he came into the game.
Yes. Add another bit of damage to his Durasteel armour there.
Yes, some more scorch marks. I'm surprised Fett hasn't turned up in the new canon yet, because everyone knows that he's meant to survive. So,
Yeah.
you know, being eaten, because, you know, he's Boba Fett and he has to be cool enough to not be eaten. But
I mean, I don't think he's going to appear in season 2 of The Mandalorian, but I thought I heard rumours that he would be making, if not an appearance, but a cameo appearance in season 3.
I mean, lots of people say that unknown voice at the end of the Bounty Hunter episode that frees, whatever her name is, the sniper, is
Yeah.
him, but that's never actually alluded to in the show. A lot of that is speculation.
Speculation / wishful thinking. There's a lot of people that would like. I mean, personally myself, I think it'd be quite cool. But I'm excited for season 2 of The Mandalorian, see what they do. There's some characters coming in there that are going to be quite good.
I mean, we're all waiting on the Razor Crest, right? We all want that.
Oh, what, to come into X-Wing? Yeah, absolutely. Some people aren't waiting for it because they've just got them 3D printed it. But I know what you mean.
Cards. Like, what does Jin do?
I mean,
Jin?
we've got Yoda in the game, so will the child have a similar thing? It'll definitely be a 1 force point though, not 2.
Oh, definitely. I heard an interesting thing that the child should be an illicit crew, so a 2-slot card, because he had arguably smuggled goods, because that's kind of the whole thing. But at the same time, he's also a living being, so he has to be a crew. So putting that illicit crew would be like an interesting dual typing, I think, because it would fit nicely into both categories.
Yeah, and it could also limit where it would go as well. I could see that. I mean, if you look at the LA-80, you've got some crew gunners in there. You've got the Delta 7B title, which is the modification config. Is that a Delta 7? I believe it's a Delta 7B. It's the modification config card. I'm going to double check that. It's either that or the calibrated laser targeting, but
Something on a Jedi Starfighter.
Calibrated laser targeting is the modification config card. So you have it. There is precedent in there for a card to be across 2 different upgrade types.
I think the most interesting one of that is the electron proton bomb, which is a mod bomb, or a mod device rather.
Yeah.
But I've never seen that used either, because it's got that built-in fuse marker, which makes it very hard to use.
Yeah, you've really got to plan ahead with that one.
You need lots of ion tokens flying around.
Yeah. I mean, even delayed fuses, if you're using delayed fuses on something, you've got to really think about that. They're more for hoping for damage, but denying board space is more what you're doing. It's more I'm going to put this here with a fuse on it, and you've got two choices. You either go that way and guarantee damage, or you come where I want you to go.
Yeah, it's very much path denial, isn't it? Like what you can do in one of the Fire Spray title cards, where you can start. Is it one of the Fire Spray titles where you can start?
That's the Boba Fett crew card.
Oh yes, the Boba
So
Fett.
where you can start 0 to 3 from the enemy on an outside of range 3 from the enemy, but with
range 0
at range 0 of an obstacle. Yeah.
I should know that. That was in one of our games, wasn't it? And I used it very badly.
You paired it up with Tobias Beckett and then forgot to use Tobias Beckett.
Yes, I mean I really like that combo.
Yeah.
Being able to, it turns it into effectively the resistance hand, which is you just place your ship wherever you want on the board.
Yeah, and I mean it feels better as a crew card rather than a inbuilt pilot ability, because a one-use pilot ability just feels a bit like it doesn't feel very good.
I mean, I love sticking Bobber on my epic ships.
Oh, will it land on the asteroid? Is he going?
Oh, we're going for a suicide maneuver.
So it lands on the asteroid.
So he needs to do a damage.
Does it damage
and be at
itself?
Range 1 of me.
So it's taken damage. Now we need to see what's the range.
Not a great start. Oh, it's
close. It's
Not
out of range 1. So the yellow has blown itself up, hoping to get that last damage, and missed.
But I mean,
oh,
even with that, Conor is safely ahead. Like, he would quite happily sacrifice both his headhunters and not bat an eyelid because he's got an effectively untouched Bobber just flying around.
Yeah, I mean, you're now up to 72 points, but you're 99 points behind. Unless Bobber has a 3 hard on his dial right now to the left, with 15 seconds remaining, I'm afraid this game has not gone your way.
And it's all about just surviving, isn't it? Just not dying at this point. Just denying him 200 points.
I mean, as I said, it has been a fantastic game to watch. 2 really interesting lists in there. And it just makes it interesting to see those 4 binary pilots with Deadman Switch. The utility of that was... I mean, you were just waiting for them to pop to see what they would do.
Yes, I think he only wasted one's Deadman Switch.
Yeah, which was the yellow just there. Was the only one that was wasted.
Yeah, so those 24 points certainly made themselves known.
But okay, so now all depends on what Bobber does, but I think Levan might be surviving this turn.
I mean, that's the dream, right? You want to point denial at this stage just to be stubborn. I mean, I'm nice and close to his red Binya, but I don't want to kill it. But it's on full health, so...
It's on full health, so... Oh, so Bobber will get a shot. Will Levan be leaving the table alive? Yeah.
And he's fluffed it, so...
Yeah, so Levan will be...
Unless...
Actually, I'm not going to say it now. Unless somehow...
I kill the Binya pirate. Because obviously all he's got to do is pop, and then I pop too.
I mean, you do need 4 hits.
Or 2 hits and a lucky crit.
And I think you were debating whether to actually bother shooting and just stay there and be like, yep.
I mean, you've got to, really, as we've discussed. There's no point not shooting. Like,
you are going for it. So 4 dice. So come on, let's see 4 hits. 2 hits and a crit. This could do it if he blanks out. Oh, you decided not to juke. Oh, I'm a little bit disappointed by that. It would have been absolutely nice.
I didn't want to risk it. I wanted Levan to survive.
I want to know what that last card was. I don't think we're ever going to find out, unfortunately, but it would have been interesting to see if that last card was a Deadman Switch. yes, you would have lost everything on the table, but it would have been so worth it.
I mean, that would have been like the chances of that roll happening, of having 2 hits and a crit, the bare minimum I needed to kill him was incredible.
I mean, all in all, I do think that was a really entertaining game to watch. Again, some really good lists on there, some really interesting utility. It's a shame we didn't get to see as much of what your list could potentially have done with Cassian in there. But again, it was nice to see Colby on the board and Levan on the board doing a few of their shenanigans. I'm not going to lie, I think Boba Fett didn't really do an awful lot there. It mainly was down to the Binet pilots getting all of that damage in.
I mean, Boba just acted like a points bank, really, didn't he? He knew I didn't touch him, so that was a safe 102 points.
Yeah, absolutely. All the work was done by the Binet pilots. Right. Well, anyway, I think that is it for that game. So thank you very much for coming along, Quinn, and talking us through that in what you were thinking and what your thoughts were for your list. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the channel today.
It's been a pleasure myself. Thank you.
Again, thank you very much for taking the time to watch, guys. Please do like and subscribe to the channel. Click that notification bell so you know exactly when the next video has dropped. And also check us out on Twitter at Out of Art Gaming. And we will see you next time.